Kuwait is in turmoil. The Emir, Sheikh Nawaf al-Ahmad al-Sabah, dissolved parliament and suspended parts of the constitution. This dramatic move shocked many and came after months of political deadlock. Forming a government proved impossible. The Emir felt he had no choice but to act to restore order. This crisis highlights Kuwait's fragile democracy. The country has a long history of political disputes, but this latest episode feels different. It raises fundamental questions about power. Is the Emir overstepping his authority, or is he saving Kuwait from itself? The answers are far from clear. The world is watching. Kuwait's political system is unique in the Gulf. It has an elected parliament that has real power. It can challenge the government and block legislation, which often leads to gridlock. The current crisis is a prime example. After the last election, forming a government proved impossible. The parliament was deeply divided. Opposition lawmakers were emboldened, clashed with the government, demanded reforms, wanted more transparency, and pushed for greater accountability. This created a stalemate. The Emir watched as the crisis deepened. He tried to mediate, urged compromise, but his efforts failed. The government couldn't function, key decisions were delayed, the economy suffered, and the Emir felt he had to act. Dissolution was his last resort. The Emir's decision to dissolve parliament is controversial. Critics accuse him of a power grab, saying he's undermining democracy and exceeding his constitutional mandate. They fear he's setting a dangerous precedent. However, the Emir's supporters see it differently. They argue he acted out of necessity, that the parliament was dysfunctional, and believe he's upholding the constitution by protecting Kuwait's national interest. They insist he's a stabilizing force. The debate over the Emir's actions is intense. It reflects the deep divisions within Kuwaiti society. It raises fundamental questions about the balance of power and highlights the challenges of democratic governance in a complex region. The Kuwaiti public is divided. Some support the Emir's decision, seeing it as necessary to restore order. They're tired of political bickering and want a functioning government. Others are deeply concerned, fearing for the future of democracy and worrying about the erosion of civil liberties. They see the Emir's move as a step backward. There's a sense of uncertainty in the air. People are hesitant to speak openly, fearing repercussions, but whispers of dissent can be heard. There's a yearning for change, a desire for a more responsive government, and a hope for a brighter future. Section 5. Echoes of the Past. A history of political tumult. Kuwait has a long history of political disputes between the Emir and Parliament. This isn't the first time an Emir has dissolved Parliament. It happened in 2011, 2012, 2013, and 2016. Each time it triggered a crisis. These past events offer valuable lessons. They show that dissolving parliament is a risky move. It can deepen divisions. It can erode trust in the government. It can destabilize the country. The Emir must tread carefully. He needs to find a way to bridge the political divide. He needs to ensure that the next elections are free and fair. He needs to restore faith in Kuwait's democracy. Section 6. Regional Ripples. Gulf Neighbors. Watch with concern. Kuwait's crisis has sent shockwaves across the region. Gulf neighbors are watching closely. They're worried about the potential fallout. They fear instability. Saudi Arabia, the regional heavyweight, is particularly concerned. It sees Kuwait as a buffer state against Iran. It doesn't want to see Kuwait weakened. Other Gulf states are also anxious. They're grappling with their own internal challenges. They're worried about the spread of unrest. They're hoping for a quick resolution to Kuwait's crisis. In this section, Democracy's Dilemma, balancing stability and freedom, we turn our focus to Kuwait's crisis, which strikingly highlights the challenges of democracy in the Middle East. It's a delicate balancing act indeed. It requires finding a middle ground between stability and freedom. Too much freedom can lead to chaos, while too much stability can stifle dissent. The key is to find the right balance. But as we see, this is easier said than done. Kuwait's Emir faces a difficult choice. He needs to restore order, but he also needs to preserve democracy. He must find a way to reconcile these competing demands. In Section 8, Economic Anxieties. Uncertainty looms over prosperity. we see that Kuwait's political crisis is taking a toll on the economy. The uncertainty is causing jitters. Businesses are holding back on investment, and consumers are cutting back on spending. The Kuwaiti dinar has weakened, and the stock market has tumbled. The oil sector, the backbone of the economy, is facing challenges. The Emir needs to address these economic concerns. He needs to restore confidence, create a stable environment for businesses to thrive, and reassure investors. In Section 9, The Path Forward, Navigating Uncharted Waters, we find the road ahead for Kuwait is uncertain. The Emir has taken a drastic step. He's dissolved parliament and suspended parts of the constitution. It's a gamble. The next few months will be crucial. The Emir needs to set a clear path forward, outline his plans for the future, and engage with the opposition. He needs to build a consensus, restore trust in the government, and pave the way for a more stable and prosperous Kuwait. In Section 10, Kuwait at a crossroads. A test of resilience, we see that Kuwait is at a crossroads. The Emir's decision has plunged the country into a deep crisis. It's a test of its resilience and a moment of truth. The Kuwaiti people have a choice to make. They can succumb to division and despair, or they can rise to the challenge and work together to build a better future. The world is watching. The stakes are high. Kuwait's future hangs in the balance. The hope is that this crisis will ultimately lead to a stronger and more democratic Kuwait.